Welcome to the Plan B CRNA podcast. I'm your host, Bobby Jones, and I'm so excited that you're here. The Plan B CRNA podcast is the only show made specifically for nurse anesthetists who are exploring options outside of their traditional career paths. This is the place to expand your mind and your goals as we uncover new ways to produce side income together. The mindset that we bring to any situation plays a key part in overcoming challenges and really enjoying our unique paths in life. On Thoughtful Thursdays, I like to explore emotional topics that are relevant to CRNAs and other providers. I think of this as my therapy, and I hope you learn some tips and tricks that you can use along your own journey. This episode is brought to you by On-Call Capital. On-Call Capital is dedicated to educating CRNAs and other healthcare providers about investing outside of the traditional stock market. On-Call Capital also provides opportunities for you, yes, you, to create passive income and generational wealth while also lowering your taxable income through investments in the apartment and alternative investment spaces. If you haven't hit subscribe yet, make sure you do that right now so that you don't miss an episode. Thanks so much for joining me today, and now on with the show. Welcome to Thoughtful Thursdays on the Plan B CRNA podcast. I'm your host, Bobby Jones. And before we get started, I wanted to let you guys know that in my efforts to bring you the most attractive offerings out there, I've recently partnered with a group to provide you with access to invest in RV parks and resorts. We have a deal that we're actively working to fund that's available to accredited and non-accredited investors, but you can't get started until we actually establish a relationship with you. If you're interested in these types of investments, then please reach out to me at bobby@oncallinvestments.com or find me on Facebook so that we can set up an introductory call. Now, on with the show. And as always, I like to start these shows off with a quote that gets me thinking. David Brooks once said, "Freedom without structure is its own slavery." And that's a pretty powerful statement, isn't it? It's a bit of a paradox, and I've often thought of freedom and structure as being on two different ends of the spectrum. And now, nearly a year ago, my kids all started back to in-person schooling, and I had my days to myself. At the time, I felt liberated. I could truly do what I wanted to do and work on my business without constant interruptions. Fast forward a few months, though, and I was a bit out of sorts. I didn't have a schedule for myself because I wanted to maintain that flexibility to be able to, go see my wife during the day. I told myself that this was the reward of having my time to myself. But I couldn't seem to get ahead with my tasks, and I was more stressed than I'd been in quite some time. My wife's schedule was unpredictable, and thus it was actually starting to dictate my own. This continued on for some time until it started to actually negatively affect my mood. At that point, we both recognized the need for change. I was ready to put boundaries on my time, boundaries that would ultimately help me become more fulfilled and productive. I don't know about you, but I'm both a planner and a non-planner. I tend to have a long-term vision for what I want things to look like, and I work towards that. When we go on vacation, we regularly have an itinerary to follow, or at least kind of a rough draft of a plan. However, in my everyday life, I avoided making a schedule because I disliked making commitments. I wanted to maintain my right to choose to do things or not to do them. But I often ended up worrying about whether or not I would make the right choice to do particular activities. That added pressure would eat at me like crazy. And here's the funny thing. When I began to plan my days, it was almost like I was getting my time back. With a schedule, I found that I had the freedom of all of the other hours in the day to enjoy doing other things. I had self-care time already built in, which meant I actually took the time to do it this go round. I didn't have to worry about squeezing in time for a run or some yoga. It was already in there. I learned that not scheduling that workout time had actually given me less freedom to take advantage of my time outside of the gym to do other things. And on top of that, I just had more peace of mind in general. The mental and emotional freedom that I had because I knew what to expect with where my time was going led to less worrying and anxiety. Sure, I have deadlines like everybody else, but I don't have to fret about when I'm going to get this or that done. I was no longer sacrificing the present because I was thinking about what I didn't get to do or what I didn't get done. To be clear, though, this didn't solve all of my problems. Far from it, because making a schedule and actually sticking to it are two very different things. When I felt pressure to get work stuff done, I began to sacrifice my self-care time, putting me back where I started at times. But the main thing is that I had a framework to guide me. and I could tweak it however I needed to, dependent upon what I wanted to emphasize in the moment. I like to think of myself as a smart guy, but I still can't believe how long it took me to figure this stuff out. I mean, I have 3 kids after all, and the first thing we try to do as parents is to provide them with structure. Why is that? Well, because structure provides comfort. It provides a certain predictability in the day because they know what to expect at certain times of the day. Teachers do the same in school, often having highly detailed schedules that provide peace of mind to students. And this also results in less volatile responses to stressful situations. With anything, you can take this too far, but overall, it's worked out well for our kids. It only makes sense that it would work out well for us adults as well. So, if you're not really a planner and you've never scheduled your day out, then maybe you'll want to give this a try. A bit more structure probably won't hurt, and it may give you more of the freedom that you seek. That's what I've got for you today. If you enjoyed what you heard, make sure you hit subscribe and leave us a 5-star review. I'd love to hear what you thought of our show. If you're interested in passive income opportunities with tax advantage real estate, like the RV resorts that I mentioned at the beginning of the show, visit my website at www.oncallinvestments.com or reach out to me on Facebook, LinkedIn, or Instagram. Until next time, be safe and take care of each other out there. Thank you so much for joining me for another episode of the Plan B CRNA podcast. If you haven't already subscribed and reviewed the show, I'd be honored if you took the extra time. It really helps to expand our reach and get the word out about the show. If you're a CRNA who is interested in sharing your story on our podcast, I'd love to have you. Please email me at bobby@oncallinvestments.com for more information. This episode was brought to you by OnCall Capital. They are dedicated to helping providers like you develop passive income and generational wealth through investments in the apartment and alternative investment spaces. Feel free to check out their website at www.oncallinvestments.com and subscribe to their free educational email series. You can find OnCall Capital on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. You can also check out our YouTube page, where you'll find all of the show episodes along with other educational videos. Thanks for listening, and we'll see you on the next episode.